Good morning and welcome in to the first of our live lily pad Stampin' Up classes. Just wiggling things around, getting myself organised. Lovely to see anybody that's able to join us live. If you're not able to join us live, then I hope you'll be able to catch up and enjoy the projects that we're going to make. So I've got two ideas floating around in my head. That's one colour combination, as you may have gathered. But let's sort out. Let's do the other one first. So I'm going to bring in some thick basic white and my trimmer, and some ordinary basic white. And this is going to be the colour combination for this card is white, and more white. Morning, Bonnie. So let's start with our thick whisper white and make ourselves a card base. I'll come this way. I think that I'll score and fold this and create two while we're here, just because whisper white card bases get used very frequently. It's probably highly unlikely that that bit of thick whisper white would be used for anything other than a card base. So we have a thick whisper white, thick basic white. It'll take me a long time to get out of that habit. Card base there. I'm now going to take some ordinary weight basic white and cut that at 13.9 by 9.5. Got my dies just here. So I'm going to cut, so I'm going to use this bit of this basic white just here. I'm going to cut that one. I think we'll possibly have some of that one as well. And in for a penny, in for a pound. Actually, no. Changing my mind. I'm going to do some stamping before I do some cutting. I'm going to bring in the big Hydrangea stamp just here. So it's got lots of lovely detail on it. Changing my mind where I was going. I was going one way, then I was going the other. But I'm going back. Got my white embossing powder here on standby. So let's ink this up. Oh no, oh Jackie, oh no, she's here. She's here. Hi Jackie, so far I have cut a thick basic white card base and a 13.9 by 9.5 basic white matte, so that's thick. This is standard, and now I'm just stamping this big flower in Versamark. And let's sprinkle that on there. So hopefully you can see that flower in the background there. Heat up my heat tool and let's emboss that. Morning, morning. So, oh, there we go. Hopefully you can see that. Right, now let's going to go back. I'm going to die cut that. That'll be a challenge in lining up, won't it? I'll decide what else I want once I've die cut it. So it's amazing, although that is exactly the same white colour card as that, as soon as you heat emboss it, it does pop out from the base. Now I'm going to take this little die just here and then die cut one of those. I love this little die. Just looking for my pokey tool. There we go. So that's white embossing powder. It's a job to tell, isn't it, on white card, but that is actually white. Clear would probably just come out more shiny. You probably wouldn't get quite so much definition. So this little die, I'm just going to take my pokey end on my tool and poke those petals outwards, sort of almost folding them out a little bit so that they do stay out. Working my way around. Centre ones. So obviously this takes a minute or two just to do this, but well worth it. Because then you get this lovely little 3D effect on there. And we should just that way be able to line that up on there. I'm going to take one of these flowery little clusters. I think we'll go with this one with a slightly bigger flower on, so it sort of echoes the flowers in the centre there, and I'll do some flowers on the 4 corners. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's get out our white embossing again. I always make sure that they're labelled, because in the pots it's virtually impossible to tell the difference between white and clear. It's only when you emboss it that you can actually tell, and on white card it doesn't make a huge amount of difference, but if you wanted to white emboss on coloured card, or you wanted to clear emboss on coloured card, you can very definitely tell that you've got the wrong one then. And as always with these things, ask me how I know. Right, let's heat up our heat gun again, heat tool. Shouldn't call them guns. I did try to post something on Facebook once and it wouldn't let me because I called it a heat gun. Obviously assuming I was arms trading. So we've got some white flowers going on in the corner there. Now I think I'm going to take just a little smidge, and I know it's not within the colours that we've used. I'm going to just take a little smidge of grey card, and I'm actually going to cut it so that it is 14.6, so that's about 2 millimeters longer than our base, by 9.7, which is 2 millimeters wider. Just the smallest. Let's try that again, shall we? It's 13.9, so I want it to be 14.1. Dear, oh dear. Went the right way the other way. 14.1 by 9.7, and that will just give that the tiniest spot of grey behind there, and will help that one to pop out against the other. Get our white flower on there, and then what greeting shall we have? I think I'll have I appreciate. No, you are capable of amazing things. Let's go for that one. I know that I've got that one somewhere. And I think we'll take, yeah, it would make a lovely sympathy card. We haven't got anything in there that, any greetings in there that are sympathy like, but obviously I'll use this one, but obviously if you wanted to recreate that, then yes, it would. Likewise, if you needed to make something like a, I don't know, confirmation card, even a wedding card possibly. So I'm going to stamp "You Are Amazing." Again, I'm going to use Smoky Slate. If you wanted to keep within the colours that we've already used, you could perhaps just make this slight border a little bit of Highland Heather, perhaps something like that, just a really soft colour. But I'm going to use the little label that's in the dies to cut out our greeting. Just line that up. So I think I'm going to leave it very, very simple. So let's stick our card with embossed flowers, and it's one of those that really, unless you've got it in front of you, it's not going to show up very well on photos and video. But that just little pop of grey behind there makes that white pop out. Let's just put some dots on here. The biggest challenge is lining up that flower head with the flower bottom. To stick that down. You are capable of amazing things. But yes, quite agree that sort of with sympathy, thinking of you, get well soon, any of those sorts of cards. I want to grab the pearls. This pearl here is sort of Seaside Spray officially, but it's sort of got like quite a grey sort of tint to it. You could just add a few of those in there. So just really simple colours, but really quite pretty. So that's one all in white. It's all white on the night. We'll now go for something with a bit more colour in, shall we? Why not? I'll just pop those pearls under there so I can find them if I need them. And for this one, we're going a whole lot more colour, as you can see. I'm going to take this gorgeous grape, and although the gorgeous grape isn't listed in the catalogue amongst those colours, it is listed on the paper. And of course the ribbon is gorgeous grape. So, managed to get a bit of a damp spot on there, but that's okay, that will dry. Okay, and I'm going to take this paper here. So it's the back of this floral one that's really pretty, but we're going to go on the other side and cut ourselves a 10cm strip that I'll then swing round and cut a 14.4 centimetre length. So that's just going to go on our card front like that. I'm going to stick that down because I'm going to cut a hole in it like you do. And dig about and find my layering circles. I want the yes, I think we'll go with the largest circle. So I'm going to cut that, run that through my machine and cut that through both layers of that. There's no doubt that that's cut because that has fallen on the floor. So there we have a beautiful circle ready for another card. So be interesting to see. There we are, there's your challenge. If you've made this card, I want to see what you created with your leftover circle. So do post those and share with us what you've made with your leftover circle. Right, so that gap, that circle, I'm going to cut a piece of this acetate that is, I think I'm going to go 9.5 just to give myself a goodly amount of movement either side. My reel of sellotape that was on there. Yep. So where has that gone? Take the backing off my. Here it is. Just going to take a little bit of sellotape. Trying to resist biting the sellotape. It always made my mum cringe anyway when I did that. It's on the back. So on the silvery side, if you stick a bit of sellotape on, you'll find that there's a bit of film on there that will pull off. And that is going to come in that hole just there, but I want to do some other bits before I get to that point. I'm going to take some old olive card. Now, old olive, bizarrely. Fun fact from the duckling liver, from the lily pad, is the one colour that I don't seem to get oddments of very much. I don't have a lot of oddments of old olive, but that's okay. I'm just going to cut a piece of old olive like this. I'm going to untangle those and cut the leaf sections is all I want really. You've got lots of old olive. It's funny, isn't it? There's other colours that I have masses of, but old olive, I've got old olive, but I haven't got old olive pigments. So I obviously must use them up. I don't know. I've got a whole box of oddments that need sorting into my drawers. It's a job that I keep looking at and thinking I must get on and do that. Ah, yes, you see now I had at one stage so much Blushing Bride and Basic Grey, where I'd done my nephew's wedding invites. Yes. Actually, I'm finally getting towards the back end of those. Some of them now are getting so tatty that I really need to throw them out, to sort them out. So I'm just cutting sort of the fancy leaves and the bottom half of these flowers. I don't know whether I'm going to want another one or not, we'll see. And the other thing I'm going to cut is I'm going to take some Highland Heather card and cut some of these little flowers. Now this is one of the things that's in my head. No idea how it's going to work out. We're about to see, aren't we? Whether it is transferable from my head to real life. Always a scary prospect. And run this through again for another second lot of blossoms. We'll leave it at that for now. We might need to go back to the bed, but actually the nice thing about this die is it doesn't take long to get a whole little bundle of blossom going on. Right, so my thought process, for what it's worth, let's pop these centre bits out. You could stick the centre bits on together and leave them do and just have the detail if you didn't want to. You wanted just to use this bit as a solid leaf. That's quite pretty. If you weren't using the bit underneath as well. So as long as you manage to hang on to them all as they come out. I'm going to stick the leaves excuse me while I rummage around in the background. I'm just looking for my silica mat. Dabble that leaf in there. Stick that on there. I'm let's stop saying gonna. I'm going to chop the top off that flower. And a cinnamon and a gunner. That's my Wellingborough roots coming out there. Chop the top off of there, so I've got sort of two leafy bits there. Let's move this out of the way for a minute. So my thought process, for what it's worth, is I was thinking, rather than create hydrangeas, thinking more along sort of spring blossom. So where do I want this other one coming? Do I both want them coming from one side? No, I think I quite liked them coming in from opposite angles, like that. So I'm going to stick this on here, and this one, and we'll cover up that back section in a minute. Coming here, this is going to sit in the back there, but then we're going to have these as little blossom on the tree. So as we are coming into spring, and we'll be able to disguise those pointy ends. So having put these in place, I'm now going to put this in place. So let's put some glue or some tape or something around this edge. And we'll pop our piece of acetate down. Shut that up. And I'm going to come back in, put myself a little squidge of glue down, get my picky up tool and a pile of blossom, and let's just start to stick some in place. And we can have some of it sticking on the acetate as well, so it's looking as if it's a flower, a tree in bloom. You could build it up to be a lilac, couldn't you? And I've still got a little pile of blossom here, so I think I'm going to have some on the edge round there, and we'll have some on the edge round there. I've got one little one there. We must be able to find a space for him to build it up on the top there. Ooh. We've just got little blossoms, top and bottom. The world is better because of you. So we have that one. Let's go with a bit of basic white, and let's grab the gorgeous grey ink pad. So what I perhaps should have done, in retrospect, and I don't know whether I'd get away with it now, I might have a look in a second. No, just ignore me because I used the biggest circle. If I hadn't used the biggest circle, I could have made a frame in gorgeous grape, but because I've used the biggest circle, that won't be very easy. We're going to find a bit of gorgeous grape cardstock. Let's cut that. Don't want to get buried my glue. I don't want to get gorgeous grape ink on that. Big scissors. Have that coming in down there. I'll grab my pearls again. I'm going to go with the darker purple ones. Perhaps I'll go each side of those little flowers. And perhaps we'll have one on there because you can't have an even number. So there we have our acetate. And the nice thing about that is because it's quite a dark acetate and you've got sort of the matte in between. Hi Beryl. You perhaps wouldn't want to put a white matte behind there because that's going to look a bit odd possibly. So you might need to die cut another circle, perhaps for your greeting, or just have something top and bottom, or even just on the back. But there we go. So that's sort of using those flowers and those leaves as sort of like a blossomy tree rather than the hydrangea. And as I say, you could really perhaps build those up into lilacs almost. So you've got this card, which is full of colour. You've got this card that has got that white embossing on the corner, just that little flash of grey behind there and some pearls. That is very sort of white and elegant, as we said, would be quite good for weddings or sympathy cards. And your challenge, see what you can create with that circle, and I'd love to see what you've made with it. So there's your 2 cards for this live class. I'm not sure that there's many measurements and things I need to put up for those for you. I think those are probably fairly straightforward. So there you go, some spring blossom and all in white. And we'll be back for another live class next week, and watch out for more videos and things coming soon.